This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Let's get into it. Big show here on a Monday as we welcome you into Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Live as always from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. We got lots of playoff implications from yesterday's results. Of course, Week 16 in the NFL not over yet. We'll get into Monday Night Football and a whole lot more in a moment. But JVT, skipping the pleasantries here for a moment, we've got a bowl game that's about to kick off here in a couple of minutes. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl out there from Boise, Idaho. Our buddy Tim Murray, who is, of course, broadcaster, host here for VSiN Primetime and the College Football Tailgate Show. He will be on the sideline for this one for College Bowl Season Radio. Washington State, Utah State. And this line's been all over the place since it opened back on December 7th, JVT. Washington State was a 1.5-point favorite at open. Quickly saw a flip of favorites. Aggies got bet out to as high as 4 in the market, and then it steadily came down. Now it's Utah State minus 1.5 or pick 'em, depending where you look.
Yeah, Circa just moved to pick here in the next last couple of minutes, and I would tend to agree that they should probably head in the direction of Washington State. It's not that Utah State is a terrible team. In fact, these are two of the better ATS teams in recent weeks coming into this game. You look at Washington State, they've covered 6 out of 7 and 3 straight. Utah State has covered 4 straight and 5 out of 6 heading into this game. These Aggies suffering a couple of tough losses down the stretch of the regular season as well. Should have beat Boise State, should have beat UNLV, and instead both of those games losses in their last 4 contests. But ultimately, Washington State's been a pretty good defensive team. And you look at the ledger and what they have done this season, pushing teams like Ole Miss and others in really big spots to really tight contests. I know that Zevi Eckhouse here at quarterback has not been the best, but I think if you look at what they can lean on defensively versus what Utah State can lean on defensively, which is not much, you couple it with the fact that 1,000-yard receiver Braden Pagan won't be playing here for Utah State. It's kind of surprised that we didn't see this move before kickoff, at least earlier, to the side of Washington State. But we're getting that. I would agree. I think Wazoo's the side.
Well, that's kind of, I think a big part of that is that's kind of the only real absence for Utah State. Everything else about their roster is largely intact. They avoided a lot of opt-outs. They have the stability with Bronco Mendenhall trying to build toward year 2. Meanwhile, for Washington State, Jimmy Rogers gone. He's replacing Matt Campbell over at Iowa State. Their defensive coordinator, Jesse Bobbitt, is coaching in the interim for this one. He and their offensive coordinator are both going to leave the program, but are coaching this game. I know some of the assistants aren't going to be available. So maybe there's the perception that they're just not going to be fully engaged. And you mentioned these both being really good cover teams. I think Utah State, depending on some numbers, it's like 10-2 or 9-3 against the spread on the season. They were really, really good in that area. And you mentioned those close losses at the end. Yes, 2-2 to close out the season, but they were playing pretty well. Like, they lose by a point to Boise State. They lose in overtime at UNLV. They were playing really well.
Well, and remember the UNLV game, they were lining up for a game-winning kick at the end of regulation, and the kid just shanked it. It was a very short field goal that would have won that.
Also, sorry, real quickly, Washington State is without their starting running back and their second leading receiver as well. So there are a few. Their second leading receiver will be there, but he's in the transfer portal, and they have a few players that are like that that are in the portal but are still going to play. So again, I think you go back to like the engagement question.
Yeah. Well, was it the pig farmer, Bryson Barnes? Yeah. He's out there on the field right now, and they're just getting started. But I think ultimately these are two teams that are pretty close to each other, if not equals, from a power rating standpoint. I think it makes more sense to hang a pick on a neutral and see what they do.
Again, it's the Potato Bowl. We are officially underway. First play. We'll keep you updated on the score as we go here out there at Albertson Stadium in Boise. Speaking of potatoes, what's your favorite type of potato?
I'm a big Yukon Gold guy.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah. Do you like do you like a mashed? Is it au gratin? Like,
I thought you were talking about like that.
No, I honestly don't know. I don't know that many types of potatoes, honestly.
We're talking about the actual.
Should I go sweet? I like sweet potato. No, but like as far as like the way you serve it.
I mean, mashed potatoes are pretty classic, especially on a shepherd's pie. Pretty good. What's the ones with like the cheese when they're like thinly sliced?
That's au gratin.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, those are. I'll go with that one.
Yep, those are good. I think I'm a twice baked. If I had if there was only one that I could have, I would say twice baked. But that's like a specialty type of a thing. It's more for holidays.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said the Yukon Gold. It is the Idaho Potato Bowl, and those are
get it together.
Those are russet potatoes, so I should probably get my stuff.
All right, again, we will keep tabs on Washington State, Utah State as we go here. But let's dive into everything else that is to come over the course of the next 2 hours here on Money Moves. Time for the rundown.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
You know we love a good overreaction Monday, so coming up at the end of the hour, we will give some of our big thoughts in Call Me Crazy, but anything you're fiery about today?
Oh, plenty, as
Always.
usual, including, I took a foray into a couple of different sports. Mondays, we always talk a lot about football.
Mm-hmm.
We got some NBA and Call Me Crazy. Got a little NHL in Call Me Crazy as well. And an argument that I'm willing to have with a lot of people. I think you're all insane, and I'll tell you why.
We also have the college football playoff quarterfinals officially set with the first round in the books. We will give you the lowdown on where those lines sit, any movement that we've seen to this point, and some early thoughts. A couple of games here that look to be pretty awesome, JVT.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm really looking forward to what this next round's going to be. Really not a bad game on the card. So You get lucky, as you're going to have a good one as well. Really looking forward to what we're going to see here. And also, I mean, you never want to react to what you last saw, but I'm fighting tooth and nail to resist to just come in and think Miami's going to get their doors blown off after watching them against Texas A&M.
It was a weird game.
Yes.
And the kicking game, a huge part of it as well. So the Cotton Bowl, something tells me we're not going to have the same wind in the Cotton Bowl.
Yes, I would think so.
That is a 9.5-point spread in favor of Ohio State, by the way. And you mentioned I'm going to have a good one. Yeah, the shortest spread of all of the games coming up. Oregon and Texas Tech. Oregon laying 1.5 in that spot in the Orange Bowl, first game of the day on New Year's Day. So we'll get to all of that. But, of course, we're going to be hitting Monday Night Football numerous times today. And it's the JVT versus Stormy Bowl, apparently.
Yep.
We are at odds here. It's Colts 49ers head-to-head, although I know you have said, no, I'm kind of rooting for this whole Phillip Rivers experiment to fail a little bit. That's him, not me.
Yeah.
Colts have lost
4
straight. And their starting quarterback, of course, Daniel Jones, still remains out, done for the year with the torn ACL. So Phillip Rivers back under center for the second straight game. Meanwhile, 49ers have a ton to play for and can't really afford to fall short in this one. Everything that they want in the NFC West, a top seed, still in their hands. So they have control of their own destiny here. And this is a spread, JVT, that's been 5.5 for most of the week. But now we're seeing Indy get a little bit of play here. Lots of 4.5s across the board.
Yeah, and I think this makes some sense. I think part of this, too, is the announcement that DeForest Buckner is officially back here. He was questionable initially, but was taken off IR, officially cleared, and the questionable tag was removed. So you're going to get your best defensive player out there on the field if you're Indianapolis. It's obviously a very good thing for them, especially against a team that, as we know, wants to run the ball. And I think that that's maybe some of it. I don't know if that's the full point move we've seen here from 5.5 to 4.5. And I can understand it. I think when you twist my arm on how this is going to go, I think you're going to look at an Indianapolis Colts team that is going to try to run the ball, do it with we're going to snap the ball with 2 seconds left on the clock every single time. Try to command time of possession. Try to avoid putting our defense out there because while Buckner is back, this is now the secondary that was what we were talking about. Remember at the beginning of the year when they were getting away with murder and forcing a ton of turnovers, and we kind of talked about, you're one of the worst teams in success rate. You're one of the worst teams in terms of explosive play rate. Yet you're turning teams over. That defense is now back outside of Buckner, and I don't think you want them on the field very long against Brock Purdy, who played very well against the Titans last time out.
Yeah, Buckner has been sorely missed, especially in the middle. He has been out since week 9 with that neck injury, returned to practice last week. There was some hope that maybe he could get involved then. That was not the case. Offensive tackle Bernard Raymond is questionable still. His status was more up in the air. Didn't practice Thursday or Friday. Didn't practice Thursday, was limited on Friday, was seen wearing a big brace on his elbow. Sauce Gardner still out, hasn't even practiced yet. And Anthony Richardson, I know there was some thought maybe he could be in the quarterback room this week coming off of injured reserve. It will still be Riley Leonard as the backup.
Raymond is out, actually.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So
okay.
he is out. He's not going to play. It's a really big blow for them, too. He'd been one of their better pass blockers along the offensive line. Now, I think that if you're Phillip Rivers and this offense, when you're looking at how you attack this 49ers team, as we're talking about elongated plays, snapping the ball late, but I think the other part is you're getting the ball out quickly. Phillip Rivers had done that relatively well against Seattle. And so to avoid the inability of your quarterback to escape pressure, also being down an offensive lineman, you're probably going to look at a lot of quick passing attack for Phil Rivers and the Colts.
I'm so mad at myself. I'm looking at my notes and it says out in parentheses, and I just
That's all right.
All right, one of those mornings. We're off and running here. Meanwhile, on the 49ers side of things, they are getting some guys back, which is certainly positive. We talked about how last week we were hopeful that maybe Tatum Bethune and Sam Okwanu would be back, and it looks like they are, which is great news, especially for Bethune. He was Fred Warner's backup, and they were down to, when you're down to your third middle linebacker, it's not a great situation to be in. So for the two of them to be back, and Okwanu specifically back for the first time since week 12, and a team that has really struggled to rush the passer, that he could be back out there on the field, really big news. Renardo Green, unfortunately, their starting corner, he is out with a neck injury, and Ricky Pearsall is well unavailable for Monday night. So that's a lot of the injury stuff to get to. Thanks for Spot Odds, as always, for these injury updates from professional sports bettors like Billy Walters to world-class bookmakers like the ones right here at Circa, where we're broadcasting from. Everybody who bets big or books big uses Spot Odds. Use the same tool the pros use. Subscribe today at spotodds.com and use code VSIN for a special discount. First, just initial thought on this game. Where do you sit?
Yeah, I think it would be like 5.5 or better if it gets back up to 6, and who knows what's going to happen. I do think it would be the Colts. I do think their ability to run the ball against this 49ers team. We'll talk more about this and when we get to the player props a little bit later. But the 49ers, they have done a lot to negate some of the injuries that they have suffered defensively. But across the board, their metrics against the run have not been great. And so I think you're getting a high volume of Jonathan Taylor. I think you're getting a long possession, try to eat this thing up. And I think just by that, just shortening the game if you're Indianapolis, increasing the ability for you to stay inside of a number like this against San Francisco. I think that kind of leads you to an ugly, lower scoring game in which the Colts stay inside of this number but ultimately lose. I think 5.5, 6, if it got back up to there, would be a play.
For anyone who wasn't with us last week, what was your evaluation of Phillip Rivers?
It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, we do have to at some point be able to differentiate between he has the mental capacity to do this. He was reading the defense. He was getting the team in position pre-snap. There's also a very clear physical limitation there that I don't think anybody can deny, and yet some are.
We're going to talk about this game a lot throughout the course of the next 2 hours, but when we come back, some of the reaction from what we saw yesterday and how it pushes forward, whether that be in the awards market, futures market, all of that coming up here on Money Moves.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Looking for the perfect holiday gift or a smarter way to bet the biggest games of the season? Well, VSiN's holiday special gives you VSiN Pro access through May 1st for just $79. You get daily best bets, real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop tools, and 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app, covering everything from bowl season and the NFL playoffs to March Madness and the Masters. Plus, you get our college football playoff betting guide featuring all of our expert playoff brackets, power ratings, updated CFP thoughts, bowl best bets, and more. As you access the game previews for every bowl game on VSiN.com, give yourself the gift of smarter betting at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Still scoreless in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Thanks for everybody chiming in on your favorite kind of potatoes. Scallop potatoes, very popular here so far. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you as we react a little bit to the weekend that was in the National Football League. And of course, we have Monday Night Football still to come tonight with the 49ers and Indianapolis Colts. But I thought this was interesting. Entering week 9, every division had an odds-on favorite, right? Yep. Now, 7 of the 8 divisions have new odds-on favorites or division winners already decided, with 4 of the 8 currently out of the playoff picture. That's how much things have changed.
Yeah, well, it's the NFL, too. This is exactly what happens, and things can swing pretty quickly. It's the reason why you play all the games. It's a short season, and yet still it's pretty long, and a lot of things can happen and transpire. And what have we talked about 1,000 times over? It still could come to fruition, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are one of them.
Yep.
Well, like a $5 favorite. Every single week it was getting whittled down, but every week you looked at that team and thought there's no reason why they should be expected to be this big of a favorite against a team like Carolina, who seems to be just the same team in different wrapping. And here we are. Carolina gets a big win, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now need to win out to get into the postseason, because if they lose this weekend, they are eliminated, and the NFC South would go by default to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, the teams I mentioned that were odds on at that point, the Colts, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bucks. The Bills trail New England, Packers behind the Bears. The Rams are still Super Bowl favorites, but Seattle's in the best position for the division, although, as I mentioned earlier, the 49ers, they control their own destiny as well in that area. And then with the Lions and Ravens now playoff long shots and Kansas City already eliminated, 4 of the top 7 Super Bowl favorites from before the year are either out or huge dogs to make the playoffs. Baltimore, after the loss to the Patriots last night, 8-1 now to make the postseason. Detroit, following their loss to Pittsburgh, 13-1, down to a just 6% chance. And maybe let's start there real quickly, because obviously a very controversial ending in Detroit. Steelers hold on to upset the Lions 29-24 as a 7.5-point dog after 2 potential Lions scores are wiped out in the final 30 seconds with offensive PI calls. Lions, the first team in the last 30 years to have multiple OPIs enforced in the last 30 seconds of a game.
I mean, what did I tell you?
And the first one was really bad.
What did I tell you? I had a bad feeling about this game.
I know, it's my fault.
You know, I don't even think it's your fault. It's just when you looked at the power rating for Detroit and where they were being slotted and how the market was thinking of this team, this is a team that has been very overvalued by the betting market, especially in recent weeks. With the loss, they now fall to 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games. I know that you mentioned it's always funny how you cut the cake when it comes to trends. What was the trend before yesterday? 11-1 ATS last 12 games after a loss.
Yep, but also 1-1 the last 2.
And my rebuttal was, they're 1-1 in the last 2, and now they're 1-2 in the last 3. So this has been a team that I think has been flawed all season long. I think there are some embers and some dying, breaths of the team that has gone on the run the last few years. But ultimately, we're looking at a team that has nowhere near as much staying power as the previous versions of itself. And now they're in danger. I mean, the win yesterday locks up a playoff spot for the Chicago Bears. So now there's one less seat at the table for you here. And the Lions are in desperation mode as we move forward. And the desperation for a team that's not particularly great on offense or on defense at this point right now, I don't know what to think of them as you move forward. And the other note, too, by the way, 5 straight games have gone over the total, partly because of their offense. The other part is their defense isn't good.
Yep, and we will have, by the way, looking ahead already to Week 17 as well, do you approve this move a little bit later on how some of those odds have shifted coming out of the Week 16 results. The Steelers win, meanwhile, paired with the Ravens loss, which we'll get to in a moment, they now have a 2-game lead in the AFC North and a 93% chance to win the division. Just need 1 win in their last 2 games against the Browns, and they close the season with Baltimore to have that decided. Worth noting, though, will DK Metcalf be available? Because we've got some questions here going on with the incident with he and a Lions fan that transpired with him on the field, kind of like a throat punch type of a thing, grabbed him, whatever it was. And some reports coming from both sides of this thing. The Detroit Free Press spoke to the fan who said he called Metcalf by his full name, DeKalin Zacharias Metcalf, and that prompted the incident. Tom Pelissero then followed it up with a report that Metcalf had a history with this fan. He, I guess, reported the fan to Seahawks security last season when he was in Seattle, and then Pelissero followed that up with a source close to Metcalf saying the fan who identified himself as to the Detroit Free Press as Ryan Kennedy, called Metcalf's mom something derogatory and him something you, quote, don't call a black man. So that gives you any indication as to how that might go. The NFL is ultimately looking into this to see what they're going to do with it. But if they do decide to punish him, we've seen a lot of 1-game suspensions doled out this year. That's going to be impactful down the stretch for them.
I think you got to assume that he's not going to be available, at least for 1 game. And Metcalf, I think, underneath all of this, outside of what was said or allegedly said, is the fact that he didn't have a great game. 4 catches on 9 targets. He had a really big drop almost immediately after that incident with the fan, or at least at the time when they were showing it on the broadcast, for just 42 yards. So that was also, I think, a part of what we were looking at here for Metcalf. Despite the success of the Steelers, much of it on the ground, the passing attack wasn't there, at least when he came through Metcalf here. So I think as you're moving forward with Pittsburgh, at least for this next game, you're assuming he's not going to be there. Again, you know where I want to assume anything, but I don't think the NFL would let him play without some sort of repercussion?
Yeah. You would think. And the video evidence does not look good, and obviously these are what we're hearing on the surrounding factors of it, but regardless, in terms of their code of conduct, things that you cannot do. We'll get to the Patriots in a moment. From the Ravens side of things, though, the Lamar Jackson injury, obviously very significant, and this is something that he's been dealing with various stuff throughout the course of the year, obviously missed time with the hamstring, but now to have another thing that knocks him out of a game for an offense that already had looked off. What do you think?
I think you're probably done. if you're Baltimore. I know statistically, mathematically, you are still alive. We were watching that yesterday at the Superbook, and I was sitting with Matt Humans and friend of the program and network, Doug Kazarian, and there was a play in which it was a read option for Lamar Jackson before he got injured, and he pulls it and runs, and I think maybe he gets the corner, Stormy, but he maybe gets 5 yards out of it. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching him, and I made the comment, last year, if he gets the edge like that, he's probably gone into the extent of that's a double-digit run. That's an explosive run, and he just doesn't really have it at this point. Now you look at the way the season has gone along, the fact that they're failing, that again here with John Harbaugh, one of the questions you have to ask and zoom out is whether or not he's capable of leading this team. Another blown double-digit lead for the Ravens. The fact that he didn't touch or didn't allow Derrick Henry to touch the ball down the stretch when you were leading that way, that's insanity. That's malpractice when you're talking about game management as a head coach, and he now has a long track record of doing this. A game in which your starting quarterback goes down and you still build a double-digit lead, you should be able to hold on to that, and instead he can't do it. So I think there's just this – it's not as bad as Kansas City this last weekend where all the air's out of balloon and everything's over. But you got to feel like this team kind of sees the writing on the wall with what's happening, especially with the Steelers getting that win yesterday in Detroit.
Yeah, they will be eliminated this coming week should they lose to the Packers or the Steelers beat the Browns. Like, that's over for them. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned the double-digit losses. It is the 6th loss for the Baltimore Ravens, where they have been up 10 points or more in the fourth quarter since 2019, tied for the most in the NFL in that time. It's something that shouldn't happen, that has happened repeatedly to them in recent history. Patriots, meanwhile, so down 11 in the fourth quarter, they come back, score 15 unanswered, final score 28-24. They improved to 7-0 on the road this year. The win officially cements their spot in the playoffs, and now they are one of a handful of teams that's still up for the 1 seed in the AFC, one of 6. Patriots, Broncos, Jags, Texans, Bills, and Chargers all still alive for the top seed. 5 teams up for the 1 seed in the NFC, too, so it's all over the place here.
I was messing with the ESPN playoff machine, and, it's great because it has all the tiebreakers programmed in, and you're just clicking around with different results. And at the end of it, I got to a point where the Chargers were the 1 seed, and they could still pull that off if they needed to. They've got some high-leverage games coming up. Houston and Denver to close out the season for the Los Angeles Chargers. That's huge if you're talking about the opportunity to control your destiny and get it done at a high level. The Chargers have it all in front of them at this point right now.
And I know you have an interesting opinion on an awards market based on a Chargers player, which we'll get to coming up in the next segment. But speaking of awards markets, Drake May, second shot on the board for MVP after what was a great game for him yesterday, 380 yards, first game in his career. He's gone over 300, which that was kind of crazy to think about how good his season has been that he hadn't had a 300-yard game yet.
Yeah, and given the level of competition as well. But, Drake May is very good. I think that's very clear. I think that also gets mixed up sometimes when you talk about conversations like MVP. The other side assumes that you're just saying that the person that you're discussing is not good when that is not the reality. He is plus 185. We'll talk about awards coming up. Stafford minus 215. And then you get the trio there, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. All of them will not win, 25-1, 35-1, and 80-1, respectively.
Also, you mentioned the Chiefs real quickly. We did get some news in the last handful of minutes that Gardner Minshew, who is feared, he had torn his ACL yesterday. Still a season-ending injury, but not the ACL. It's called a, quote, non-displaced tibial plateau fracture. So his season is over. The Chiefs are going to put Gardner Minshew on IR. We saw the Chris Oladokun show the rest of the way yesterday. No surgery apparently needed. I guess that what that is a very, very bad bone bruise. We will hit on that and a whole lot more coming up. But awards market, the focus when we return on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on VSiN, Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. And here on Money Moves, we talk all the time about making smart bets, and smart advertisers can do the same with Mission Media. You want real results? Mission Media connects you and your brand to audiences that actually engage, from premium podcasts and connected TV to data-driven digital campaigns. They deliver measurable ROI. And as VSiN's exclusive ad partner, Mission Media gives you direct access to one of the most loyal, action-oriented sports audiences anywhere. Your brand deserves more than just impressions. It deserves influence. Get started at vsin.com/advertise or email advertising@vsin.com. Rolling along here live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. With all of the action that came out of Week 16, we saw a handful of markets on the move, not only playoff, make-miss, divisions, but a lot of NFL awards as well. And one that we are personally invested in is the MVP market, where going into Sunday, Matthew Stafford was a minus 400 favorite.
Yep.
Drake May has a good day, and inevitably that shortens those odds. It was dipped below minus 200 at one point during the game. He's currently a minus 215 favorite. Drake May sitting there plus 185.
Yeah, thank gosh. Ramondre Stevenson ripped off that 21-yard touchdown run. Now Drake May's candidacy is alive and well to win Most Valuable Player. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, and this year it seems extreme, but I think it's every single year, and it deserves some sort of criticism. These swings in these results, or that these results have on the betting market, are hilarious to me. The fact that minus 400 was the believed price for Matthew Stafford, as you mentioned, it was minus 400 coming out of that game. Did not budge. The entire 2 days before Sunday night's game against the Baltimore Ravens, and then all of a sudden we have this performance and we get it to below $2. Matthew Stafford, and I know a lot of people are throwing out that, hey, MVP winner on a non-division winning team. I don't think Stafford, by some of these voters, I think they're going to ignore a season in which he throws for over 40 touchdowns and fewer than 10 interceptions and wins maybe 12 to 13 games, which, again, he's going to be heavily favored in the next two games. It's the Falcons on Monday Night Football, and they wrap with oh, boy, I'm having a brain fart on who they wrap with. They're going to be a double-digit favorite regardless of who they're playing. You can look it up and tell me who they are. Two very easy opponents. Cardinals, thank you, who they blew out. So he's going to be able to put up the numbers. That should also factor in, by the way, to this price, does it not? Who they're playing as they move forward and what those are going to look like. I am amazed, though, that this is swinging as much as it is. It should not be this way, but every single little result is getting there. By the way, we have, I guess, a new contender, Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. Yeah, well, and someone who you believe should be talked about more, Justin Herbert, who's sitting on the board at 80-1.
Yeah, this is more of a complaint about the award itself. If we're talking about most valuable player, when you watch Justin Herbert deal with the offensive line that he has, take as many hits as he has, playing through the broken hand and the non-throwing hand, and just watching what he was doing yesterday. I mean, he was moving through the pocket. He was getting pressured left and right, dealing with it well, killing the Cowboys downfield, doing everything possible to help them win this game. He was great yesterday, and I don't think the Chargers are anywhere near 11 wins if he's not playing quarterback for this team. Like one of the worst, the worst offensive line. Lost another offensive lineman yesterday to injury. And yet they go out there and win comfortably against the Cowboys. I think that if we're talking about true value to a team, then Justin Herbert should probably have a shot here. I know a lot of media members are throwing out there, hey, Justin Herbert having an MVP caliber season. Yeah. And one of my favorites around this time of year, Stormy, he should be in the conversation. Like, okay, we've talked about him. What now? Yes, he should be part of the conversation. He should have a more realistic chance if we're talking about actual value, but we know how this award works. He won't, but he is having an incredible year.
Well, and you bring up that point, and thank you to Colin Murphy, who joined in on our conversation on X as well, which, good reminder, tweet at us, at MeJVT, at Storm Buonantony, at VSiN Live. He said 100-1 for Coach of the Year for Jim Harbaugh, probably too long as well, in that same vein of thinking with the Herbert injury and all of the stuff with the offensive line and how much coaching probably plays a role into that too, but he's not really being talked about it. He's like sixth on the board or so in that landscape. Speaking of Jim Harbaugh, he was pretty complimentary of his quarterback, but when is he not?
It was good to see both, run game and the pass game thriving. Justin had time to throw, and he was on fire starting in pregame. Everything was dialed in, and that was the entire first half. And the second half, he never really missed. It was the second half throw, the 3rd and 6 or 7. That was, may never have a better throw, than that. Just clutch, just so great, and used his scrambling ability, moving the chains. I thought, really just so much good. Good. Good.
No question about it. 34-17, ultimately the final in that one. And after we have the Drake May conversation, stick with the Patriots theme here. obviously the Travion Henderson injury comes into play, and that moves a market as well. He was last week's Rookie of the Year favorite. He has the concussion, and then Tedero McMillan all of a sudden is back to being odds-on in the market in a pretty hefty number, too, minus 250. He had 6 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown in what was obviously a very important game for the Carolina Panthers to retake that top spot in the NFC South. Emeka Egbuka, meanwhile, on the other side of that game, wasn't really a factor, had the 1 catch for 40 yards. He and Henderson both now 13-1, tied for third on the board. And your second shot, who Tyler Shuck was 250-1 not too long ago, 25-1 coming into Sunday. He's now your second shot at plus 350.
Yeah, I think
so that's becoming more and more real.
Yeah, we saw this coming. I mean, we're assuming that the market knows what it's talking about here with Tyler Shuck. But yes, this was what we kind of saw coming down the pike, which was he's been playing relatively well. Yesterday was fine, 308 yards, 6.3 yards per attempt though. No interceptions, no turnover-worthy plays. I think that he might just win this by default. I mean, McMillan, as you mentioned, was okay yesterday in a win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 73 yards of the touchdown on 10 targets, but this seems like a really weak offensive Rookie of the Year class.
Do you think, has Shuck played enough with McMillan having the bigger body of work? Does that help his case?
It might, but I think McMillan's played more games, which is an advantage. Shuck plays quarterback, which is an advantage.
And we talked about that yesterday on Live Bet Sunday, just the conversation of do awards voters want to give this to a quarterback, and it feels that way. Saints are 4-3 since he took over, including 3 straight wins down the stretch, which has looked good in large part due to what he has done.
Well, and that's the other part. It's if they win out, which is certainly plausible. They have the Titans this week. They have the Falcons to end the year. You're talking about a 5-game winning streak and 6 out of 8 to end the season for the New Orleans Saints, who many, I think, are looking at as a pretty good feel-good story in terms of the Saints. I saw one headline today was the Saints are watchable again. So there is this push, I think, from the media that part of Shuck's play is also bringing what was once a very fun and good franchise for a while, especially under Drew Brees and Sean Payton, back up from the depths because of the way that he's been playing. That, I think, would factor into it as well. I don't know if Tedero and McMillan being part of a team that eventually wins the NFC South, if they do, would be enough for a quarterback taking over and leading a team like the Saints to 5 straight wins to end the year.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But if you are somebody who bet that big triple-digit number, you're feeling pretty good right now, considering the opponents that you have coming up for the Saints, as you mentioned. Meanwhile, Jackson Dart crushed his case. Like an all-time clunker. What are we, 33 yards?
It's pretty bad. I mean, for all intents and purposes, and you pointed this out yesterday when we were on the air, he has regressed as a quarterback. Now, does that coincide with the firing of Brian Dable? I think you can make maybe the argument at this point right now, but Dart has not played well. He also won't take care of himself. That's another big thing that's looming over this team. Now they get the Tank Bowl coming up this weekend against the Las Vegas Raiders. How about that scheduling spot, by the way? Did you see this? The afternoon, there's 2 games. It's Philly and Buffalo, and it's Las Vegas and New York. Those are the only 2 games in the afternoon window on Sunday.
Why?
So
why are we doing this?
I wonder who's going to watch.
I cannot wait to see the audience viewership separation.
I kind of want to see it. I guess we get some tickets to go to that Raiders game. It's got to be electric.
Oh, yeah.
To watch that happen in person, to see 2 teams that don't want to win, go at it.
God, sickening.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, I know, is a market that you keep tabs on like crazy because of your Carson Schlesinger play, and he's a huge odds-on number now. But you also have had a lot of questions about what the hell voters do and think about this market. Yeah,
I just wonder, I asked you this question. I'll bring it back up to our audience, too. Is this not the market you would trust the least in terms of pricing? It's defense, which is always hard to evaluate already. It's an award for best defensive player, and it's an award for the best defensive rookie, which rookies, the scale of success of your team, things like that, it is a much different place to be at in terms of, I heard a lot of, the Browns, their defense, it's really taken a step back. That's going to hurt Schlesinger's candidacy. Why? Why does the rookie interior linebacker shoulder the load of, hey, the Browns defense is regressing, when the reality is these are really really individual awards, and that even team success I don't think would really bother anybody. If that was the case, then we'd be talking about Tyler Shuck not really having a shot because the Panthers are about to win a division. So I don't think that's the case. I think he should be favored, but at minus 1,400, and James Pierce Jr., who was injured on Friday, came back, 2 tackles, a solo, half a sack, no tackles for loss. Got 2 games left, but not exactly making a massive case to steal this from Schlesinger, if this is the accurate odds right now.
Pierce leads all rookies in sacks and splash play rate, but Schlesinger leads rookies in just about everything else the way it sits right now. Even in the loss yesterday against Buffalo, led in tackles. He was the only Brown to record a solo sack on Josh Allen in a day when everybody expected Myles Garrett to break the record. He only had half a sack, 2 quarterback hits. The list goes on. The dude's been awesome.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Washington State was doing whatever they wanted to start this game. They unfortunately missed a field goal after driving down the field on their opening drive, but then touchdown the next drive, forced back a trio of punts for Utah State. Now it's gotten a little bit uglier. Back-to-back drives that ended in an interception for the Washington State Cougs here. It's been a little bit of a weird, wonky game.
Yeah, not good at all, because one of the strengths, at least early on and throughout the year for Xavier Eckhouse, was he wasn't a great quarterback, but he didn't really put the ball in danger, and yet here we are, and they're doing just that. Also, with the missed kicks, we were kind of looking at this. I checked the weather right now. Winds of like 10 miles an hour, maybe. So the flags aren't really flying on the poles. Just good old-fashioned bad football for college kickers. Absolutely tremendous here. And this is, you know what? When people are demanding to protect the sanctity of bowl season, like this is what we need.
This is what it's all about. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, and we have had 2 interceptions, 2 missed field goals. What a time to be alive. Washington State, by the way, so depending on where you look, this closed about a pick'em game, or Utah State laying 1.5 at its peak. Currently, Washington State a 4.5-point live favorite, total 48.5. Did also want to remind y'all, you can make the holidays unforgettable this season with Omaha Steaks. From holiday roast to hand-selected gift packages, Omaha Steaks is delivering top-quality meals and memorable gifts that bring everyone together. Every state perfectly aged and hand-carved for exceptional flavor. And right now, as a VSiN exclusive, you get 16 free smash burgers with any order of $129 or more, plus 50% off site-wide, and it'll be easy to hit that number with all the great stuff they have. omahasteaks.com/VSiN. That's omahasteaks.com/VSIN. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details. You got to get in there this holiday season. Call me crazy, but Omaha Steaks is the way to go. And we got Call Me Crazy But coming up right now.
Put on your tinfoil hats.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. The whole world gone crazy.
For Call Me Crazy, but...
Okay, so I held off bringing this up on the Carolina Panthers. I know you wanted to go down the route of the division a couple times, and I kind of strayed off of it because call me crazy, but it's still not going to happen for them. It's still not. I have zero faith, JVT. Carolina beats the Bucs obviously on Sunday. They've got a 1-game lead over Tampa now in the division, but here's what needs to happen for them to win. They beat Seattle, and Tampa Bay lose to Miami this week, 2 things that I don't think either one of us necessarily believe will happen, or a win against the Bucs to close out the season in Tampa, which... should we believe that that's going to happen again? I don't know. And listen, it's not like Tampa Bay is playing great football. They've lost, 6 of their last 7 games. It's been ugly for them down the stretch after having what felt like a stranglehold on the division. But as much as I want to buy in on Carolina, I did my whole rant on this team last week. I don't know if I can get there.
Yep. I mean, I can understand your trepidation. Absolutely. So I'm not going to call you crazy. I think it makes sense.
Who wins this? If I tell you right, and I mean, Tampa's still minus 160 in the division right now. So if I tell you right now, division has been decided, who is the winner?
Tampa.
Really? You think it's going to get done?
I think they're the more competent group at this point right now. I mean, look, the bar is very low. We're talking about a team that's going to win the NFC South with 9 wins. Maybe. By the way, there is a scenario in which Atlanta still finds itself in a 3-way tie with these 2 teams. And because I was reading these crazy tiebreaker scenarios, if it's a 3-way tie with Atlanta making its way up, Carolina would still win the division because of tiebreakers and something like that. I don't know. But either way, this is
they swept Atlanta.
Yeah,
so.
and the Buccaneers split. So if it was a 3-way tie, then it would go to Carolina. The whole point here being is that this division, kind of stinks. So if I say they're going to win the division and they're the more competent group, All right, cool. I don't think that's like a giant compliment.
All right, where are you going?
All right, for me, we'll start in the National Football League as well. Call me crazy, but the Texans aren't winning the AFC with this offense. We're going to do this here, really. Yesterday against the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm watching this dreck on my screen as they're struggling to move the ball yet again against one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. In totality, 16 first downs, 270 total yards, who were outgained by the Las Vegas Raiders. Yards per play, 5.9 for Las Vegas, 4.4 for the Houston Texans. They have not even surpassed over 5.5 yards per play, and I believe it's 4 out of the last 6 games. They're an awful offensive team. So, no, I don't believe that your defense is going to be able to shoulder enough of the load to carry you through the AFC, if you even make it into the AFC playoffs, because that's a whole other deal. Right now, they're on the outside looking in, so we'll see if they can make it. But this offense, I don't know why I would believe that this offense is going to do it. I know that you're a tried and true believer. You thought they had turned the corner. They're your Texans, but I can't buy it.
Bryson Barnes, by the way, just intercepted as well. So now we have multiple.
These are the games we have to protect.
Both teams with interceptions, both teams with missed field goals. We're all over the place in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. They're not my Texans, and I know the old adage, of course, was defense wins championships. But in today's NFL, obviously, it's all offense, and you need it when all is said and done. I was a believer that maybe they had turned a little bit of a corner. Since C.J. Stroud had come back from the concussion, were averaging nearly a touchdown more in terms of points per game. I was wrong. And for you to have your worst passing performance of the year, essentially, against the Las Vegas Raiders, unacceptable. He was off target on 7 of 23 attempts in the first half. They didn't have their first offensive touchdown until there were just under 8 minutes to go in the game. Yep. You can't have that. And those types of performances against teams that you should have no issue blowing out shouldn't happen. Okay, next for me, we're going to be able to get a better number on Indiana, right? Like, call me crazy, but the Alabama truthers are going to come out here and take the points, that we should be able to get a better number, no?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, this moved really quickly in Indiana's favor when this first opened up. It went right over, and I think that we're probably going to start to get in the direction. I mean, what are you looking for? It's under a touchdown at multiple spots.
I would like to get like 5.5, 6.
Oh, yeah,
You don't think that's going to come up?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I think that there's,
because it was ticking between 6.5 and 7.5, and I know 6.5 is kind of the prevailing, but I thought, like, I would like to get 6.
I don't think
you don't think I'm going to hold out and get 6?
I don't think Alabama. I know that guys like Dustin Sweetelson, I was talking to him because he believes that the SEC is just different. I don't know, man.
People just don't want to like Indiana.
I get not liking Indiana in the big picture to an extent. Here, Alabama, again, it's funny, that game, that was oddly an inverse of the game they played against Oklahoma earlier in the year.
Yeah.
It was Oklahoma who outgained them. It was Oklahoma who was performing better statistically. It was Oklahoma who who gave up a pick 6 that went the other way. That was one of the differences in the contest. They ran for 22 yards in the game, Alabama did. You can't, that is not something that is sustainable to win a championship, to win multiple playoff games. And now you get this team, coached by Cignetti, who's done a great job in picking apart a lot of different opponents, a flawed one-dimensional offense coming into the Rose Bowl here. I just don't think there's going to be that support that's going to drive this thing down.
All right, what's next for you?
Okay, we got a couple. Let's go to a different, actually, we'll go a little non-sportsy here, but call me crazy. You can't send me awards odds as evidence for your argument. You can't do this.
Is this
got a lot of
directed at someone in particular?
No, I got a couple of them. Yeah, Chris Pissarro sent me one. There was a couple of other people on social media. Like you mentioned, a little in the sauce yesterday. I like to start arguments when I'm like that. And one of the things that people kept talking to me, because I said during the game, sorry, Drake May's MVP candidacy is over. And I got a whole bunch after the game sending me odds. Like, see, he's still in it. This is the same awards market that thought that Paul Skeens was a massive dog to Jackson Merrill. He's minus 1,000 to win NL Rookie of the Year. He got 7 first-place votes, right? We have this all the time with these awards markets. They have no idea how to accurately gauge what is going on. Do we honestly believe, as these odds shifted yesterday, that there was a voter out there that watched Sunday Night Football and went in their notes and said, you know what, now I'm going to vote for Drake May instead of Matthew Stafford? It doesn't ping-pong like this the entire way. So if you think somebody's going to win, that's fine. You're allowed to have that thought. Drake May could win. I think he's great. I don't think he will, but he could. My whole point is if you're going to send me awards odds as evidence to the fact that somebody is in an awards race, I think you're insane because I think I have a parchment roll of paper that I can point to you as awards markets not having any idea what is going on with some of these awards.
Okay, for me, last one here, call me crazy, but the group of 6 first-round confirmation bias thing is tired, and I was really annoyed with it this week. And I understand that JMU and Tulane lost by margin in the playoffs first round, and even I told you going in, I was disappointed to an extent that we had 2 group of 6 teams that were in instead of 1. I do like the little guy, but I thought 2 was maybe too much. But it's like people are acting like because these losses happened the way they did, that these teams don't belong and never belong, and we're only going to get good games if we have these other teams, like completely forgetting the fact that Tennessee got absolutely torched last year in the first round by Ohio State, or that last year's first round games in the CFP were decided by 19.3 points and featured 0 upsets. Just because they're smaller programs doesn't mean that they're worthless. Like, big schools get beat badly too. So I got frustrated by all of the people doing the victory lap for JMU and Tulane losing the way they did.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy.
Okay.
All of these games were all entertaining in college football. I don't think I've ever seen a blowout in the college football playoff.
Even A&M Miami was like a very frustrating watch.
No. It's better to watch a team get blown out if they have a familiar logo on the side of their helmet. You're crazy.
I know that you're being sarcastic, and I appreciate it,
yes, I'm with you.
It's just one of those, like the victory lap I saw from so many people, like, this is why we got to get them out of here, was just ridiculous to me. I have no interest in it. Okay, we will have plenty more college football, by the way, coming up in hour 2 of the program. We also need to do a deep dive in the prop market for Monday Night Football. Our teams are at odds. 49ers Colts going down tonight. We'll be right back.